Frau Koopman, for being in my life and inspiring me, as well as you did thousands of others over 30 years. If I could inspire one person like you inspired me, I could have lived a fulfilled life. Thank you, Frau Koopman.
My name is Daniel Cronin, and I'm in Frau Koopman's German 4 class. Frau Koopman, she devoted her life to our education. This is the end of an era, but from the ashes will rise a phoenix, fueled by our love and respect. She would not want us to drag our feet through the mud of our sorrow, nor would she wish us to be indifferent of her passing. So, as long as we hold her in our hearts and take what we know of Frau Koopman, what she taught us, how she taught us, why she taught us, and teach others the same, her legacy will live on forever. I challenge every one of you to take the initiative, to become the leaders she believed us to be. With the falling of an oak spreads the most acorns. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. As Elise mentioned earlier, German was her subject. Life lessons is what she taught. And we've been so lucky to have been taught countless amount of lessons, such as acquiring the gift of selflessness. Frau Koopman never asked for anything in return for what she gave us. I remember the day we gave her an iPod. She was completely baffled and would just wear it around, going up to people saying, "Ich habe ein iPod," and would make sure everybody knew it. But that smile she had on her face, it really could have lit up the whole world. See, she never went around asking people for things because she was content on what she already possessed, which was the ability to share. She shared knowledge with us, far beyond German, that put us leagues ahead of others, because she gave us the fire to want to grasp for more. She would hear us, not just what we would say in German to communicate or to express our opinions on certain subjects, but she would hear our soul, because she knew us, she understood us, she cared, and she always listened when nobody else would. Most importantly, Frau Koopman gave us love. Her love was so luminous and contagious, and she always radiated this intoxicating energy, just by smiling at you, speaking her words of wisdom, or even lecturing you. We all walked into German as strangers, individual pieces of rope, dangling around each other, until one day we realized that Frau Koopman started to braid these pieces of rope together, and started linking one rope to another set, and then to another set, until we realized that she started intertwining us so tightly together into a secure knot of rope that there's no way to unravel the knot back into many clusters of braids, back into separate pieces, and then back into individual strands. Because of Frau Koopman, we are a family now. German has become our safe ground. We always will have each other. We all have, we all are, and we will always be a family. Thank you.
Okay. 5 years ago in March, my mom came home after going to the board's freshman orientation for the incoming 9th graders. After coming home, my mom told me, "You should really consider taking German as your foreign language." My first reaction was, why? She told me because when she went and listened to the German teacher that night, she was really impressed and it seemed like it could be a really good experience for me. The next day we had to sign up for our classes. And when it came to the foreign language section, I remember what my mom told me. And on a whim I thought, why not? It'll be different from the rest. On my first day at board, a little tiny freshman with a lot of hair, I never set foot on the campus. And my first class on the schedule was German in S42. Next to the room number was Koopman. When it was time to go to class, I walked into S42. I was, of course, the last one to arrive. And I will never forget this moment. Standing right next to the door was Frau Koopman. She looked at me as I walked in and said, "Guten Tag," and shook my hand. I looked right back and said, "Hi." She repeated after doing her little looked right back and said, "Hello." I look back at this moment as the start of a very beautiful, bittersweet, hard love relationship. I can't help but wonder what my life would be like if I hadn't signed up for that class that day, if I would have taken Spanish or another class, if I had just, and I believe that there must have been some reason, and looking back at it now, it was to meet her. No matter how many times I walked out of the classroom saying, "What did I do to deserve that?" And thinking, I'm going to make an appointment right now with my counselor so I can end this. But everyone had a hard day at S42 with Frau Koopman. Getting on your case for not knowing how to conjugate something or memorizing your lines for a play, which I often didn't do until the last second and drove her nuts. But it was to push you to your limit so you could reach your full potential. About a year ago, she persuaded me into being a foreign exchange student in Germany for 2 months. Frau Koopman explained that how much in 2 months I would learn in German and broadening my view of the world. She said because the most well-rounded people in the world have actually seen the world. I miss her deeply, more than I thought imaginable, but you really never realize what you have till it's not there anymore. And every day I learn from what she taught us, because she taught us about life. There isn't a day where we won't walk into the classroom and don't miss the big smile next to the podium, or the tangerines that sat at the end of the table in the green Eddie Bauer bag that she would bring to eat for us while we took our test. Last week I just went and sat in her office, and sitting there is this energy that still lingers, that was always around her, no matter what. That office is where me and Koopman would have long conversations, at least every other day, about things like grades, new movies I thought she had to see, Germany, or one of my favorites, the Oakland Raiders, which happened to be our favorite football team. April 3rd, the day before spring break, she came and talked to us. As we sat and listened like we always did during one of her lectures on any given subject, all of us sitting on the desks, and the bell rang. A line formed at the door, where she stood to give hugs, and as I got to the end to talk to her, I broke. She put my face in her hands and said, "It's okay, this is a good thing." This was just another example of what an extraordinary person she was. She was so brave and courageous. My freshman year, it was when she told us that she was going to go back on chemotherapy, and still never missed a day of school. Never let it get the best of her. Sitting in that office for me was warm, and as I sat down at her computer, the screen changed and flashed, "Guten Tag."
Former students Victoria Vickery, Allison McDonald, and Eddie Marashin to share some recollections of Frau Koopman.
Hi. I wanted to read something that I wrote for the room. It may have been my 5th choice as an elective. That was something we always joked about. When I was in the 7th grade at Tenaya Middle School in 1984, and yes, that was 1984, I filled out a form prioritizing my request for elective classes in the upcoming year. I know that I wrote some number in front of the German 1 class, but I also know that it wasn't a 1 or a 2. I mean, what 13-year-old wants the hard work of learning a foreign language when she could be making a bread box in the wood shop? Imagine my surprise that fall when Dorina Koopman's German class was my homeroom. All it took was a scribble on a standardized form to draw me into an experience that would change everything in my little world. It was the beginning of my 5-year run as a German student. It wasn't the ability to recite a Goethe poem, Roseline, 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 Rose, that altered my life so dramatically.